Hello and welcome. Yesterday or a day or so ago, I posted a video with the Concord in 9th turnabout die, and I know that's really tricky to line up, so I showed you some tips and how I did it, and I also showed you my system for making multiples of stamping without having to turn it each time for each panel. I ended up making a ton of backgrounds. I'm kind of afraid to count them. I haven't really figured out how many I made, but my intent was I wanted to make some thinking of you cards for friends and family. Here's one of the cards I made. This is one of the things I'm going to show you how to do in this video. My intention is to make 3 different designs with this panel. So let's see what we got. I just wanted to show, and I will post this on my blog. I made 7 different color combinations of rainbows just to play around with them. Here are the 7. And I will post the colors I used. All of the inks I used were Altenew inks. But I'll list the colors for each panel on my blog just in case one of them jumps out at you. My favorite one is this one here. But it's so hard to say because I really do. I like the one with the turquoise in it. I like the jewel tones that are here. It just depends. So at any rate, so I'm going to set these aside. And I'm going to show you how I made this card. And then stay tuned because I should have 2 more designs coming. I'm going to set these aside as well. The first thing I'm going to do, because it takes a little bit of time to dry, is stamp the words on my cloud. So I already die cut using the Brighter Days stamp set, the cloud and the sun from that stamp. And what I'm going to do is place the cloud back into the negative space for that, and then using VersaFine ink, I'm going to stamp on the cloud. Now this stamp, the sentiment, actually comes from an Avery L rainbow set. You are more than welcome to use any of the sets or any sentiment you want, obviously, but there we go. It says you make the world more colorful. So I'm going to just set that aside to dry, and now I can set this aside. And while I have the black ink out, I'm taking the misuse stamp, which comes at the turnabout, and I'm going to stamp that at the bottom of all of the rainbows. So these things can dry as we are working on the rest of the card. There are other words. I think one of them is hello. So there are lots of choices that you can use. I went through my stash and I found a really itty bitty tiny heart because I wanted to fill in some of the space that was between these rainbows. And I am going to kind of randomly, in all different directions, stamp this red heart. And I'm stamping it in Heartbeat, which is a color from Altenew. So while I have this out, what I'm going to do is take that little red heart we used on the background, and I'm going to add 3 little hearts underneath the word colorful. And this is just kind of pulls the cloud into the whole design. So we're all done with the heart. We can set that aside. I'm going to take out my little sun, and in this case I used orange creamsicle or orange cream Altenew ink, and I'm just going to sponge a little bit of orange on my sun to give it just some depth and some interest. I want my sun to shine. And now I'm going to add some blue around the edges of my cloud. Before I do that, I just wanted to show you why. When I first set this on here, I felt like my cloud got lost into the background. There's so much white here and so much white here. There wasn't enough contrast. So I decided one way to solve that problem was to kind of take a blue, and I'm using Distress Ink Salty Ocean to do this. Tumble Glass would be another really good choice. This was just the first one I found when I went in my stamp room. And just shading in the edges a little bit. On the back of my cloud, I'm going to add some blue I know that the sunshine was cut to fit directly over the edge of that cloud, and I figured that out by playing with it. It fits perfectly. So I knew that I should line that up right there. And then I'm going to take some of these are left over from another project. They're just foam with adhesive on each side of it. And I'm going to pop my cloud up. All right, now that we have our foam on the back of this, we can adhere that to the front of our panel. All right, and the last step that I did to finish off this card is I took my Spectrum Noir or Winker Stella pen and I painted on a little bit of glitter on the sun rays just to give it a little extra sparkle. Okay. Unfortunately, I don't think the glitter will show up so much on the camera, but there you go. That's finished card number 1. For my second card, I thought I'd choose one of the like jewel-toned backgrounds that I created. I found a matching piece of cardstock. I think this is called Coastal Cabana. It might be Bermuda Bay. I'm not really sure from Stampin' Up. I'll try to find out and I'll put the right color. I think it's Coastal Cabana from Stampin' Up. And I'm going to take Volcano Lake, which is one of the colors I used in the rainbow, and I'm going to stamp hearts randomly, a lot like I did the other card. I think this really helps break up that white space in the background. At least for me, it helps. It's hard for me to leave all that white. And I'm not really focused too hard on even spacing or which directions the hearts are going. We don't need to make this any harder than need be. Okay. And then I think I took the Hello stamp, which comes with the Rainbow Turnabout, and I think I'm going to make this one like a Thinking of You card. And I'm going to add hello like we did before to the other one. Put this aside. And then this is where I'm going to vary this a little bit. I'm going to put this on the Coastal Cabana background, and I already die cut, and I really like this, a Coastal Cabana oval, and then I used a smile die. This one happens to be by Whimsy Stamps, and we are gonna stamp on the oval. Well, I've been playing with this a little bit. I had a couple ideas and I tried them and they were awful, so this is kind of a backup idea. And then I can arrange my stamps around that. So I found a stamp, and I believe this is from My Favorite Things, and I cut out the word smile of the stamp because I'm using the die, but I'm using the sub-sentiment sending and then your way, so sending a smile your way, and I'm stamping that around the die cut just to kind of add some interest to this panel. And here I have some really fine twine, and it's white and it has like silver braided into it. So I'm going to cut a piece, and then I'm going to wrap this around my panel. And I'm just going to tie a knot. I'm going to hide this behind my oval on the front so it won't show. I'm going to attach this to a top fold note card. And then on the back of this, I'm going to take some foam and I'm cutting it, and I'm going to attach it around the edges of this card. And I'm purposely not putting it in the center because I want the string to run through the center of this card, and then this way it'll lay a little bit flatter on the front and it'll look a little nicer. So I'm just putting the foam around the edges of this card. And I'm just going to set this there to see how it looks, and I like the way that looks. So now I will add glue to my foam. And now we can just set this aside to dry. I wanted to show you, I obviously had made another one of these previously. Here's the other one I made. Same idea with just a different colored panel. I'd love to hear which one you like most. I originally was just going to put Smile on the front, but Smile kind of got lost, so I needed to find something to break the Smile up away from the background. So I think this worked out really well. So we'd love to hear what you're thinking, but this is card number 2. Alright, for my third card, I'm going to stamp You Are My, which is from the My Favorite Things Sunshine set, onto a little white piece of paper. And I'm going to let that dry. And then the next thing I'm going to do is use the coordinating die to die cut the word Sunshine. I die cut the shadow part of the die out of vellum and also white fun foam. And what I'm going to do is glue these 3 pieces together. I'll speed this up so you don't have to sit through this entire process. Now that I have the sunshine on the vellum, I can attach that to the fun foam. And I just did this because I wanted it to stand up. I thought the fun foam wasn't very pretty, so I didn't want to just leave that. And then white paper seems too stark, so I like how the vellum kind of just tones it all down. It isn't real super in your face. So that's why I chose to use vellum. You could also use, I just didn't have any. I thought about, would have been really nice as like a really, really light gray paper. I just didn't have any in my stash. So vellum it is. So now we have a raised up sunshine sentiment. So our sentiment's going to be You Are My Sunshine. And I decided I wanted to use this background. I only made one of them. It would so this is kind of a masculine version of this card. So let's adhere the sunshine down. And I think I'm going to trim off the banner part of this die. I don't think it adds anything. So we can add some glue. You can see I stamped sunshine on the back of it. So I'm using up a lot of scraps today. Trying to anyway. We can add the You Are My Sunshine part, and we'll let this dry. I'm going to trim this card base to 4 by 5 1/4. I'm going to adhere my panel onto a black piece of cardstock. This was one of the first panels I made, and I was going for more traditional rainbow, but I found it, at least for me, it was a little bit hard to accept that I couldn't get all of the rainbow colors in. So I thought it was better to abandon the norm and just go with other colors in general. But I will admit, the more I play with this panel, I really like the colors in it. So maybe next time I'll have to make more of this style or these color combinations. So I guess the last decision I have to make is whether or not I want to put hearts on this. And I'm leaning towards yes. I don't know, there's too much white in here and it drives me nuts. But the question is what color. I think I'm going to add some in orange just to pull that color in, and I think that it'll match the intensity of the other colors. I debated about doing purple, but if this is a masculine card, I think orange is going to look better than the purple will. And I don't know why I have issues, but feel free to comment and tell me, like, if you really messed up, you should have left the hearts off. I won't take offense. So if you think that that was a mistake, I just think something needed to fill in those spaces to make it feel more complete. I think I'm going to call that my third card. I might make one more of these in another color scheme just to compare. And I hope you found this helpful. I think I have about 5 or 6 more card panels left, so I'm going to make a few more cards. So check out my blog to see the other ideas. I just hope this helped inspire you to get out your Concord and Ninth Rainbow Turnabout set and use it. I'd love to see what you're making with it. Please feel free to leave me a comment. I'd be honored if you subscribed or gave it a like. Here's just a few of them. So I hope you guys have a good day, and I'll see you next time.